Nathan has a pheromone disorder, and I want a baby. So, we were forced into a contract marriage. On our wedding night, I tied him up and forcibly treated his condition. He ground his teeth and called me shameless. I ignored him completely and focused on what I had to do. Finally, I got pregnant, and his condition was cured. I brought up divorce, but he wasn't happy about it. 1. I'm just an ordinary Omega. I've always wanted a baby of my own. But buying sperm isn't cheap, and even after saving for years, I still couldn't afford it. Just as I was thinking of borrowing an alpha seed to have a child, they showed up. Charlie and his assistant explained their purpose to me, and I honestly thought it was a scam. Nathan, a top-tier alpha, and somehow, he has a 98.5% pheromone compatibility with someone as ordinary as me. Not only that, they even expressed a desire to marry me. Who would believe this if I told anyone? Seeing my disbelief, the assistant handed me the contract. Charlie spoke first. I heard you submitted a matching application to the Pheromone Management Bureau, so you must be open to marriage, right? My brother currently has the highest compatibility with you among all the alphas. I didn't nod immediately and hesitantly asked. Nathan, he's willing to marry me. A top alpha, willing to accept a marriage match like this, with an ordinary Omega? Don't rich people usually go for strong alliances? Why are they following pheromone compatibility instead? Charlie explained, to be honest, my brother has a pheromone disorder. Only the Omega with the highest compatibility can help cure him. So, just to treat his condition, Nathan has no choice but to marry me, even if he doesn't want to. The assistant nudged the contract toward me again. Charlie's tone was gentle but carried a hint of threat. Thomas, please consider my proposal. Under their unwavering gaze, I took the contract. The assistant quickly handed me a photo of Nathan. For a moment, my heart skipped a beat. A stunningly handsome alpha. 10 million. Every second of hesitation would be disrespecting myself. I nodded decisively and said, okay, I'm willing. 2. In fact, I celebrated too soon. I don't agree. Nathan loudly expressed his dissatisfaction, giving me not a single friendly look. So, I hadn't won him over yet. I sat awkwardly across from him, silently sipping some juice. The assistant wiped sweat from his brow and patiently explained. We've already discussed it with Thomas. This is just to help you with your condition. Once you're cured, divorce follows. Is that so? Nathan glanced at me with a knowing look and pursed his lips. Who knows if some people will even agree to divorce? The assistant opened his mouth but hesitated. I understood their concern. After all, from their perspective, an ordinary Omega suddenly marrying into a wealthy family isn't likely to let go easily. But for me, what kind of marriage didn't matter at all. After submitting my application to the bureau, I regretted it. I just wanted a baby. Everything else was unnecessary. That's why I was saving to do single-parent conception. But since the application couldn't be withdrawn, I left it alone. Who knew I'd actually be matched with a highly compatible alpha? And he even had a pheromone disorder, needing an Omega to treat him. If it weren't for the generous offer and the fact that Nathan had top-tier genes, I wouldn't be willing to marry him at all. I sighed softly. Don't worry. I signed the contract. Once the date comes, we'll divorce. Of course, if your condition gets cured early, and my baby is conceived sooner, then we can also divorce early. With things already said so clearly, and considering Charlie's pressure over the phone, he reluctantly nodded in agreement. The assistant exhaled in relief. Let's go. I'll take you to the Civil Affairs Bureau. 3. After getting the certificate, Nathan and I were sent to our new home together. The assistant helped carry the luggage into the master bedroom. Once he left, Nathan quickly moved his things out of the master bedroom. After tidying up, he spoke somewhat awkwardly. Agreeing to marry them was just to deal with them. Don't take it seriously. You don't need to treat my condition. What now? He wants to sleep in a separate room, and he doesn't want me to treat him. Then how am I supposed to cure him? The money has already been transferred to me. I can't back out. The important thing is, I need to successfully carry my adorable baby. I returned to the master bedroom, thinking about how to start treatment. An hour later, I sneaked downstairs to grab some takeout. When I came back, Nathan had buried himself in the study. He stayed there until late at night. I pretended not to see clearly and bumped right into his arms. Nathan sneered, "You really think such clumsy tactics can seduce me?" I didn't answer, rubbing my forehead. "Stop pretending, it doesn't hurt that much." Suddenly, Nathan's expression changed, and he looked like he was facing an enemy. "Thomas, what's that smell on you?" I looked at what I was holding in confusion. Strange. I hadn't sprayed the pheromone inducer yet. How could he already smell it? Nathan steadied himself against the wall, sweat on his temples, eyes both dazed and fierce as he glared at me. "Damn it, what did you do to me?" He had a pheromone disorder and came into heat first. It wasn't my fault. I secretly tossed the inducer aside and grinned. Helping you get better. 4. I kicked open the door and half-pushed, half-lifted Nathan onto the bed. While he was still dazed, I pulled out the handcuffs and methodically secured his wrists to the headboard. Nathan stiffened, shock written all over his face. What are you doing? We're adults. Don't you know how to treat an illness? I wasn't going to waste words. In a few quick moves, I stripped off his clothes. A fresh, fruity scent wafted from him, so strong it was almost overwhelming. You said you weren't willing, your pheromones are giving you away. I sniffed, lychee, sweet, don't smell. Nathan, embarrassed and furious, puffed his chest up, muttering curses. Thomas, you're shameless, taking advantage of me. You're a freak. No Omega should be like you. I took a deep breath, suppressing the instinctive shiver his alpha pheromones triggered, and leaned closer. Nathan turned his head away, resistance written all over his face. Yet his Adam's apple bobbed uncontrollably, his pheromones thickening. Save the yelling, I said, lightly tapping his cheek to remind him. Save your strength for the important moment. Nathan snorted, his gaze dark and fixated on my neck. A subtle feeling stirred in me. I frowned and pulled out the bite guard I bought along with the pheromone inducer. Alphas find it hard to control the instinct to mark an Omega on a bed. With Nathan handcuffed, he couldn't move much anyway. Better safe than sorry. I put it on him. Scared now? Nathan stopped struggling, sneering coldly. Do you think I'd bite any Omega? Don't count on it. Even if an Omega like you stands naked in front of me, I wouldn't react. Really? My hand trailed down his abs and lightly squeezed. Nathan's muscles tensed, lips pressed together, glaring at me. I laughed and released my grip. You didn't tell me that before. My clothes are still on, and the barrier patch hasn't even been removed yet. Nathan's face flushed crimson, snapping back angrily. You know I have a pheromone disorder. This isn't something I can control. You must have done something to me. I had had enough and clamped a hand over his mouth. So noisy. Complaining while I'm trying to cure him. Enough talking. Let's get this over with quickly. 5. The dim room was freezing from the air conditioner, but I was sweating buckets, almost drowning in his pheromones. At some point, Nathan's curses gradually turned into gasps. Curious, I lifted my head. His face was red, eyes downcast, staring blankly at me. Our eyes met. He froze for a moment, then panicked and looked away, complaining. Thomas, can you let me go? It's uncomfortable. No. He moved slightly, a red mark forming from the handcuffs on his wrist. I ignored it, my own waist aching from overexertion. I had no choice but to pause for a moment. Tired already? I shot him a glance. Not fast enough because he's too slow. I thought this would take just a few minutes. Nathan hovered awkwardly, negotiating. Want me to do it? You just lie there, it'll be easier. I refused without thinking. Alphas, if they take over, it'd probably take till morning. Better to keep control myself. After finishing, I lay back, exhausted, and removed his handcuffs, signaling he could leave. He rubbed his wrists, annoyed. This is my room. You should leave. I looked around, realizing belatedly that Nathan had been tidying up the secondary bedroom, but I was too tired to move. Nathan, I'll grudgingly lend you my room for one night. Whose house is this anyway? He angrily tossed his clothes at me. I didn't bother responding and grabbed his clothes, holding them as I lay down. Moments later, Nathan muttered, shameless, in frustration and stormed out. 6. After that, Nathan avoided me for a whole week. I didn't see him during the day. At night, he didn't come back. At this rate, how long would it take me to finish the task and leave? Just as I worried about curing him and carrying the baby, an opportunity arrived. I was about to sleep when I got a call. On the other end, Nathan's breathing was unstable, mixed with loud music and chatter. Thomas, he said hoarsely, can you come get me? My pheromone disorder's acting up. I raised an eyebrow and replied with a question instead of answering. Oh, didn't you say you didn't need me to treat you? Stop talking. He sounded like a cat with its tail stepped on, raising his voice. I've sent the address. Come quickly. This was a rare chance. I rushed over. A few young people stood helplessly outside the private room. When they saw me, their eyes went blank. You are. I hesitated for a second, then nodded. Nathan called me. I even showed them the call record. They exchanged shocked glances and hurriedly opened the room for me. As soon as the door opened, the lychee scent hit me, nearly making my knees weak. Nathan was huddled in a corner. Sensing my presence, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked up at me. His voice hoarse, tone pitiful. Why are you so slow? I ignored his complaint, bending to reach out. As I approached, his breathing deepened, eyes struggling. You don't need to. Forget it. I pretended to pull back. Don't go. Reacting faster than thought, Nathan grabbed me forcefully. The strength sent me falling into his arms. The heat mixed with thick pheromones overwhelmed me. I struggled for air. Nathan, you, don't go. Nathan held me up, pressing his nose to my neck, taking deep breaths. After a moment, he asked, "Did you not wear a barrier patch?" Of course I did. I checked. The patch was intact. Nathan, still skeptical, touched it and muttered, "It's suffocating." I said, "Then let go of me." But the tall figure only hugged me tighter. 7. Nathan fell asleep in the car. By the time I finally got him, this walking lychee, back home, the door hadn't even closed when he suddenly pinned me hard against the wall. Why can't I smell it? One hand hurried to the back of my neck, trying to peel off the barrier patch. Immediately, the overwhelming force of a losing control alpha pressed down on me. Caught off guard, he kissed me head-on. Time froze for a second. Panicked, I turned my head to dodge him. Nathan froze in place, staying leaned over me, insisting on the kiss. Why dodge? Didn't you say you'd treat me? Why won't you kiss me? He demanded. I pushed him back slightly, keeping my face calm. Kiss what? The contract doesn't include a kissing clause. His tall shadow completely engulfed me. Meeting his furious gaze, my scalp tingled, and I swallowed hard. Nathan gripped my jaw, asserting, "I don't care what the contract says. You didn't even ask my opinion before tying me to the bed for more intimate things. Now I want a kiss. What's wrong with that?" His words brought a lychee storm pressing into me. Nathan's kiss was possessive and urgent. The barrier patch at the back of my neck had vanished, leaving my glands quivering under his touch. Rose and lychee scents intertwined in the air. As my skin cooled, my mind struggled to break free from the uncontrolled heat. Wait. I flailed, covering my pants, voice shaking. Not today, no treatment, no barrier patch, no bite guard. This could go wrong. I only wanted a baby, not to lose myself completely. Repeatedly denied, Nathan frowned in impatience. Does it have to be that way? Not bothering to think what that way meant, I nodded hastily, yes. He scooped me up and hurried inside. By the time he tossed me onto the bed, I was still in shock. Hadn't I said no treatment? The next moment, the metallic click of handcuffs echoed clearly in the room. I turned my head. Nathan had cuffed his own wrists to the headboard. 8. He stiffened his neck, eyes flickering, unable to look at me. Muffled, "Is this okay?" Seeing him look so determined, I almost laughed. I stifled it. "Weren't you the one who said you'd give up on this?" Nathan went silent. He eagerly hooked his legs around my waist, pressing me toward him. This was a rare opportunity. Carrying the baby was priority. I complied, lying atop him. The air in the room turned humid and stifling. Our pheromones tangled so thickly it felt like they'd squeeze out moisture. This session went more smoothly than last time. Though without the bite guard, it was much harder to control. Overcome by instinct, Nathan buried his face in my neck. His hot breath hit my glands, sending shivers through me. "No biting," I gasped, tugging at his hair to pull him back. For a brief moment, he came to his senses, glancing at me with a struggling look. "Dream on. Nobody's marking you." Good. Later, like last time, once we finished, I got up. But barely a few steps, a hand yanked me back. Nathan had somehow freed himself from the cuffs, hands now free. Meeting his dissatisfied, hungry gaze, my eyelids twitched. Before I knew it, roles reversed. The person pressed beneath me was now me. Nathan pressed against me, turning my face to kiss me. The instant our pheromones tangled, my breath shattered. An Omega's strength was no match for an alpha. I couldn't escape him, and unease surged in my chest. "Nathan, don't go overboard." "I'm not," he murmured, pressing soothing kisses to my glands. "Isn't this what you said, helping me get better? How could just a little pheromone be enough?" 9. Nearly 2 months passed without me noticing. Nathan went from resisting me to becoming completely eager. At every opportunity, he would urge me back to the bedroom. As soon as we entered, he'd pull me onto the bed. The more we did it, the more stable his pheromones became. But my belly still gave no sign of change. The baby hadn't arrived. I even started wondering if Nathan was the issue. But the medical reports said we were fine. I resorted to searching online for solutions. Halfway through, Nathan returned. "There's a banquet this weekend," he said casually, eyes glancing at me. "You'll come with me." I refused. Our contract marriage was strictly business, no emotions involved. Why would I accompany him to a banquet? I had no position there, and I wouldn't handle that kind of social scene well. Silence fell for a few seconds. Nathan walked up to me. "As my Omega, if you don't go, who will accompany me?" I countered. "Didn't you say no one should know about our relationship?" Nathan opened his mouth but had no words. After a while, he awkwardly touched his nose and muttered, "My pheromones are stabilizing. During this period, I need you with me constantly, or everything we've done will be wasted. Fair enough. I reluctantly agreed. 10. The banquet hall was alive with fragrant clothes and flowing drinks. Nathan, unusually bold, held me by the waist as if to mark his territory. First, he took me to meet his brother. Here already? Charlie smiled at me. A few days ago, Nathan said you didn't need to come. Thomas, Nathan hasn't bullied you, has he? Brother, Nathan protested softly, his ears tinged red. He wouldn't dare, I said, trying to pull away from Nathan's embrace, but he held me tighter. Charlie watched us playfully and laughed, reminding us not to show affection in front of him. As soon as Charlie's gaze left, Nathan released me, and I suddenly came to my senses. I realized Nathan had only brought me here to put on a show for his brother. Rubbing my stiff smile, I said, next time, give me a heads up if we're acting. Nathan paused with the dessert in his hand. Acting what? I shook my head, letting it go. At that moment, a grinning alpha approached with a wine glass. Nathan, how come you didn't introduce? This is. His gaze fell on me, openly appraising. Nathan instinctively held me by the waist again, ready to speak. I interrupted, I'm Thomas, Nathan's. I hesitated, carefully choosing my words, friend. Immediately, I felt the people around tense. A friend, huh? The alpha smiled, handing me a glass of champagne for a toast. I'm Hunter, grew up with Nathan, I guess. I didn't take the drink, instinctively glancing at Nathan. His expression was unreadable, brows furrowed. I was glad I hadn't revealed our relationship. No misunderstandings arose. Nathan suddenly turned to me, voice cold and hard. Friend? I slowly nodded. Really, even friend wasn't acceptable. Did I have to say, business partner? Nathan's warning gaze landed on Hunter. Even the usually sweet lychee scent carried a sharp edge. I felt intensely uncomfortable. Before I could figure out what was happening, Nathan dragged me away. 11. Once away from Hunter, Nathan treated me like air. Perfect. Just as I wanted. I found a quiet corner and leisurely enjoyed a small dessert. Lychee and rose flavor, sweet but not cloying. Why are you alone? Where's Nathan? Charlie's voice came beside me. He handed me a glass of juice, glancing toward a sulking Nathan. Seeming to notice our gaze, Nathan looked back. Through the crowd, his eyes landed precisely on me and his brother, then quickly shifted away, face dark with displeasure. What's he sulking about now? Charlie studied a while, then realization dawned. Oh, Hunter's here. Why? I asked, confused. They never got along, Charlie explained. I sipped my juice as Charlie gave me some background on Nathan. From childhood, the more he cared about something, the more he wanted it, the more awkward he became. I murmured an ambiguous Whatever Nathan cared about or wanted, I had no way of knowing unless he told me. I only knew that besides Hunter, he probably didn't want to be friends with anyone, including me. I still needed to treat his pheromone disorder, get the baby, and finish the divorce promptly. Thomas, Charlie's tone was gentle, you're getting along with Nathan better than I imagined. As his brother, I'm glad. If he ever wrongs you or makes you feel wronged, tell me. I'll teach him a lesson. Alright, thanks in advance, brother, I said, finishing the last bite of cake. I looked at the sulking alpha. The irritation I'd felt from his earlier moodiness gradually faded. Before the banquet ended, Charlie followed through and took Nathan away to be scolded. I glanced up at the second-floor terrace. The brothers stood side by side, one serious, one dejected. Soon, Nathan came down, visibly frustrated. He grabbed a champagne glass untouched on the table and tilted it back in one gulp. Passing by me, he muttered gloomily, "Let's go. Time to head back." 12. In the car, the confined space carried a faint mix of pheromones and a trace of alcohol. Nathan leaned back with eyes closed, breathing heavier than usual. The ride was quiet. The driver parked in the garage and left for the day. I assumed Nathan was asleep and didn't bother waking him, instead quietly observing his face. I'd never looked closely before. Now, seeing him up close, the assistant's photo didn't do him justice. Nathan was genuinely handsome. His features were delicate and striking, impossible to look away from. I couldn't help picturing what our child might look like, as if a cute little one were already waving and calling for a hug. Hug me. Hiss. That voice sounded too deep for a baby. I looked down. A warm, furry head pressed against me. The dream vanished, replaced by reality, a real alpha demanding a hug. His body heat pressed against me, making me sweat. I pushed forcefully. Hug what? We're home. Get out of the car. Nathan glanced at me, eyes clear yet hazy, misted with moisture. His cheeks were tinged with an unnatural blush. Low and hoarse, pheromone disorder, acting up again. In the tight space, his scent had nowhere to hide. It wasn't strong enough to be uncontrollable. I held his restless hands. Stop lying. Your pheromones are fine. I paused, letting my gaze drop, adding with a smile, even drunk, you can't do much. Just behave and sleep. I reached to open the door, rustling behind me, followed by a soft grunt of discontent. Who said that? With force, he pulled me backward. I fell entirely into his arms. No, drinking messes things up. Before I could finish, his lips covered mine. Our lips and tongues tangled, the warm, sticky sounds fermented in the confined air. Even the windows fogged slightly. Helpless, I flailed, catching nothing, until a large hand reached over. His fingers intertwined with mine, locking our hands. Gradually, I settled, sinking into the sweet, lychee-filled haze. Dizzy, I heard him murmur beside me, Thomas, should we try? I didn't answer, letting him take the lead. Eventually, I mumbled a hesitant nod. He only became more excited. 13. After that, I pushed his words out of my mind. Impulsive things said under the influence of pheromones, who would take them seriously? All I knew was that the baby I'd been longing for had finally arrived. The past few days, certain smells had been making me nauseous. It didn't hit me until today. I hadn't eaten something bad. I might be pregnant. I rushed to buy a test. 1 stick, 2 lines. Still worried it might be inaccurate, I went to the hospital for a blood test. Confirmed. The baby was really on the way. Right now, the priority was getting Nathan fully treated. Then I could happily take the baby somewhere else and start a proper life. 14. After putting away the pregnancy results, I went to the pheromone and gland department to find Nathan. He was at the hospital for a checkup too. When I arrived, the doctor was examining Nathan's glands. His assistant waited outside. Seeing me, he shared Nathan's pheromone test results. Thomas, the young master's pheromones have stabilized. I blinked in disbelief. Nathan's pheromone disorder is cured? The assistant nodded, smiling. The young master is still finishing the gland exam, but it's almost certain. Now that the pheromones are stable, the disorder should be completely gone. What a coincidence. Today I discovered I was pregnant. Nathan's disorder was finally under control. Double celebration. I waited outside for Nathan, trying to contain my excitement. Soon, he emerged from the exam room, looking relieved, a weight lifted from his posture. Seeing me, his eyes paused. What are you doing here? Just happened to be near the hospital, so I came by. I glanced at his neck. Fresh from the exam, the skin around his glands was pink and tender. Assistant said you're cured? Didn't you want me treated as quickly as possible? Nathan's eyes searched my face, trying to read me. How could I? I was the one who'd been itching for him to get better. Nathan didn't look happy, though. Instead, he frowned. Thomas, you're lying, aren't you? Ah. I blinked, confused. Before the assistant could finish handing over the results, Nathan strode out. I couldn't decide whether to follow or not. Sending a quick message to the assistant, I hurried after him. The drive back was silent and suffocating. I didn't understand. Shouldn't he be happy his disorder was gone? Was he upset about something else? I looked at the passing street, suddenly recalling the first time we met. Nathan had opposed the marriage back then. Was he worried I wouldn't agree to a divorce? The car pulled into the apartment garage. Nathan got out, pulling me along, walking quickly. His posture radiated gloom. I decided to cheer him up completely. Nathan, I cleared my throat, since you're fully treated. Nathan's head snapped toward me, hope lighting his eyes. He was waiting for me to bring up the divorce. I smiled lightly. Let's prepare to finalize our divorce in the next couple of days, according to the agreement. 15. Thud. Before I could react, he pressed me against the door. Nathan's face was dark. Thomas, what did you say? Say it again. I blinked, confused. Divorce. Weren't you worried I'd drag things out? Now that your disorder is cured, my task is complete. As agreed, we should end this. Nathan snorted, the scent of lychee thick and oppressive. Who says you can start and end as you please? He grabbed my wrist, anger radiating. I don't agree. This is supposed to be mutual, I struggled, trying to pull my hand back. Don't forget, this is an arranged marriage, everyone gets what they need. Now that you're cured, we can part ways peacefully. Nathan, don't tell me you want to back out. Nathan went silent. He pressed his lips together, jaw tight, as if restraining something. I took the chance to pull my hand back. Looking at the tall figure blocking me, I was stuck, neither advancing nor retreating. After a long pause, Nathan's voice was hoarse. And if I said I wouldn't? I feigned ignorance. What? His eyes glimmered with frustration, staring into mine. Thomas, I said let's try that day, and you agreed. Now you're the one backing out, aren't you? There was no way I would agree to try. If they discovered the baby in my belly, everything would be ruined. The agreement never mentioned children. Now I was secretly pregnant. If they found out I'd slipped in my own agenda while treating him, the baby might be taken. Absolutely not. I softened my tone, pleading, can't we just part on good terms? The agreement clearly says once the disorder is cured. Enough with the agreement. Nathan snapped, exasperated. Do you think tearing it up now would make it invalid? Of course it would still be valid. Nathan smirked, eyes sharp on me. Thomas, you're so eager to divorce me, is there another reason besides the agreement? His gaze drifted downward, casually asking, are you hiding something from me? 16. My heart skipped a beat. No, I couldn't stay any longer. A few more days here and they'd find out about the baby. Trembling, I quickly packed my bags and tiptoed out. Just as I stepped out of the elevator, I ran into Nathan's archenemy. Hunter, tossing car keys casually, smirked. Where are you off to? Need a ride? Before I could answer, a cold voice cut through from behind. Thomas, you're talking about divorce, even sneaking out in the middle of the night with your luggage, all for him? Hunter, enjoying the drama, raised his voice. Yeah, I came to pick him up. Shut up. Nathan roared. He turned to me, gripping my arms so tightly it felt like he could crush my bones. My suitcase clattered to the floor. Lychee pheromones pressed down uncontrollably, Nathan both fierce and aggrieved. Thomas, answer me. It's not what you think. I tried to pull away, voice trembling. I barely even know him. Hunter, ever the instigator, laughed mockingly. Thomas, that really hurts my feelings, you know. Get the hell out of here. With one motion, Nathan scooped me up horizontally. The elevator climbed. Nathan's jaw was taut, a low-pressure aura radiating from him. Once inside, he locked the door behind us and tossed me onto the sofa. His shadow enveloped me. Not close. Nathan ground out. Do you think I'm stupid, Thomas? Why would he come to pick you up in the middle of the night if you weren't? Who knows, he just happened to be downstairs. I protested weakly. I only wanted to leave while Nathan wasn't around. Never expected to run into his enemy, who seemed delighted to meddle. I just wanted to leave, we're getting divorced anyway. Running into him was purely accidental. My eyes stung. My lower belly twinged with discomfort. Leave? Nathan's gaze darkened. Why do you want to leave? Just because I don't agree to divorce, you're desperate to hide from me? He leaned in, trapping me on the small sofa. I couldn't escape. At the party, you said we were friends, and just because I mentioned trying, you wanted to run away that night. Thomas, do you hate me that much? Hate? Not at all. Quite the opposite. Over these past weeks, I hadn't been able to control my heart around him. If it weren't for fear of someone taking the baby, I might have considered trying with him. I looked up. Nathan glared at me, hurt like he'd been abandoned. I don't hate you. We're just bound by the agreement, I weakly reminded him. Nathan clicked his tongue, then suddenly lowered his head and kissed me. Air stolen, my muffled whine swallowed. He nibbled my lips, tongue aggressively prying against mine. I pressed my hands to his chest, feeling the heat of his body. His hands on my waist grew harder to restrain. Panicking, I shoved him away. No, not now. The baby inside me was precious. Nathan didn't seem upset at the refusal, he even smiled. He slowly reached for something on the coffee table. Is it because of this? 17. I froze, face going pale. Instinctively, I covered my lower belly. He knew. His eyes softened into a mix of disbelief and joy. Nathan carefully touched the back of my hand resting on my belly. So, his Adam's apple bobbed as his dry voice trembled. You rushed to divorce me, rushed to leave. Because of this? I hesitated, then nodded, heart pounding. Nathan knew. But did they know? If they found out, what would happen? Would I have to terminate the pregnancy, or hand the baby over? Pregnant, and you want to run? Nathan asked softly. Afraid I'd know, afraid I'd take the baby? Well, yes. The baby was secretly mine. This is my child. I pushed his hand away from my belly. Mine alone. The agreement didn't mention the baby, so you assumed I'd steal it? I muttered a hesitant yes. After a moment of silence, Nathan inhaled deeply and gently pulled me into his arms. The sweet lychee scent enveloped me, bringing an unprecedented sense of safety. Seeing his attitude, he wouldn't take the baby, right? The agreement is dead, people are alive. Nathan sighed. How could you assume I'd take the baby without asking? Thomas, have you considered we don't have to divorce? 18. Really? But would they allow it? You're a top alpha, and I'm just an ordinary omega. I even sold my pheromones for money. Once your disorder is fully cured, your family would never approve of this marriage. They'd want you to marry a top-tier omega. The more I spoke, the colder my heart felt. I tried to push him away, but he held me tighter, as if folding me into his body. Difference? Nathan frowned. In matters of the heart, aren't we all equal? My brother may be strong-willed, but I'm the one being pressured, not you. Why worry? My family doesn't have so many rules. As long as I like it, as long as it brings happiness. He rubbed the back of my head, noses brushing. Besides, if we divorced, my brother would be the first to scold me. He actually likes you as a brother-in-law. Remember the party? He scolded me to treat you well. Of course, I remembered that party. Charlie had yanked Nathan aside, scolded him, and Nathan quietly endured it. Now, I glanced at the pregnancy report, hesitant to speak. Now you won't get away, Nathan said confidently. We already have a baby. If you still talk about divorce, my brother won't let me off. I opened my mouth, heart pounding. This wasn't what I had imagined. Unreal. If you don't believe me, I can call my brother right now. Nathan pulled out his phone, scrolling through contacts in front of me. No. I panicked, pressing his hand down. Wait, let me think. Think about what? Nathan buried his face in my neck, voice sticky with warmth. Thomas, I like you. Can we not divorce? I didn't answer. Nathan persisted, repeatedly asking. Finally, I gave in. We won't divorce. Trying isn't a problem. If things don't work out later, we can always separate. 19. After we confirmed we wouldn't divorce, Nathan seemed like a completely different person. When we first got married, he would grumble constantly, barely tolerating my presence, practically trying to avoid me. Now, he clung to me like he couldn't get enough. Wherever I went, he followed. He claimed it was to keep his pheromones stable and to calm the baby with alpha pheromones. In reality, he was just incredibly clingy. A few months later, the baby was finally born. Little Connor perfectly inherited his alpha father's premium genes. His tiny face, though still forming, was strikingly handsome. Every time I looked at him, I silently thought how right it had been to agree to the marriage. No store-bought child could ever match Nathan's genes. But Nathan's temper, the baby inherited that too. Hungry, he cried. Tired, he cried. Unable to sleep, he cried. His wails were loud, full of energy. Nathan, with a slightly sour expression, murmured complaints to me. It's probably because you tried to run away back then. He thought I had hurt you, so he's taking it out on me. Nathan, utterly exasperated, still humored the baby willingly. Listening to him mumble off-key lullabies, I couldn't help but chuckle quietly. Thank goodness I agreed not to divorce Nathan back then. Otherwise, handling all of this alone would have been impossible.